So let's get over some, of the technical details about how to do this and how to get away with it so that, to go over all of it, in case there's any developer that, needs information or anything about my recommendations about how to do this and everything. There's a tool, that will allow you to self-host with Forjo, a Git server so that you can put it on your own private, server. But there's also a Git server that I'm finding out about that's, Dark Tea, which is a dark cup of Gitea, which allows you to host your own Git repositories on the Tor deep web. Essentially what this means is that, combine this with a tool of the nature of something like NordVPN, and some people will say that that will make your traffic stand out even more, to do that, but I don't know that it really matters on the back end side of things that that's the case from the engineering standpoint, because you know if you use a good VPN, they don't, even if they can see that traffic, you've effectively engineered it. And a VPN provider, that even if they do subpoena, they're going to come up with a dead end, basically. When the government, when the courts send in their people, to say that you've been subpoenaed, what they, to, in this case, it would probably be NordVPN, because that one is able to be registered with the least amount of identification, of anybody. But, when they send it to NordVPN, at that point, NordVPN is just going to reply, this is the data that we have on this connection, but what they're going to give them is not going to be like identifying features like an IP address, or the MAC server address of whoever sent the request, or the modem that sent it in. I mean, that's not going to happen. They don't have that data. They make it a point not to collect that or have it stored in any permanent database at those things, because the people that use them depend on privacy. So they don't want to be able, they have deliberately crippled themselves from being able to give the government useful information in situations like this. You know, they just can't. And it's critical that they have this ability, because of the fact that in some countries, your government will kill you just for disagreeing with them. So I mean, people's lives depend on this being a thing with them, and so we're able to basically take advantage of that shielding to go and use Nord, and whether Nord wants you to or not. I mean, they will give you services if you pay for them, basically. But on top of that, then you use the Tor browser, Tor project, just torproject.org, basically. But then once you're on there, I can give you an onion URL for the dark tea, which you can use to register, and basically using Git over Tor can be achieved via Tor service by using the Tor browser. The Tor service runs by default on port 9050. The Tor browser you already have runs on port 9150. You can use Git over Tor by using the Torify commands. You know, you can use this to clone, the whole thing in a terminal with Linux and everything, basically, or your command line really with Windows, I suppose, but so you can set all that up, and you can add and maintain a Git server this way and in this fashion, and remotely administer it and everything with dark tea, and they no illegal content, god damn it, like it, but dark Django, could be used, or Forjo could be used in this case, anyways, like you could set all that up, and you know basically Forjo is a self-hosted lightweighted with software forge, which is easy to install and low maintenance, brought to you by a community under the umbrella of Coburg. So you use this the same way that Torzu is using it to develop uh their program, that they use this to as their Tor server and everything for the development of Torzu as a program, because of the fact that the developers have been sued and sued and sued and sued and sued, by people that are trying to take down the content and everything. And this is how Nintendo Switch emulation continues to live on, and it's been driving, them crazy for a while. They've been wondering how to go about doing it and everything. So they do now have a on this side of the equation, a Git server and everything, and we can see. Let's see, like some of the more recent comments. Holy shit, they've been doing lots and lots and lots of them. This is nice, nice. There's multiple developers. Anyways, I mean, there's been all kinds of Git additions that have been happening on, a dark Git server and everything, and they've set all that up, in such a way that it becomes basically, you can't sue us anymore. You don't we don't have accountability in that kind of way anymore. We're effectively shielded. We have anonymity, and if Tor is compromised, we use backup, software on top of that with the VPNs. So fuck them. Like Facebook is not going to be able to sue anybody if you use Forjo to build your server. So there's that, and it's a self-hosted alternative to GitHub, basically. So you reveal you basically liberate it from any proprietary shackles. It's easy to install and maintain. It's lightweight. It's guaranteed 100% free. And all this stuff, and like it's just you have to go like right and download it straight from Codeberg. Like it's crazy easy, to do this, and just grab this and set it up, and anyways, like these assholes, are basically using, abusing the law basically to prevent people from doing this and everything. And Corey had a point. Like the old internet, if anybody didn't like what was going on, they could do this. They could engineer in adversarial interoperability and everything. But now we're not able to do that anymore because they'll use the circumvention clauses of the DCMA to shield, to sue you into oblivion. But I'll have you know that like let me just that's a pirate flag, and it's on the wall because I'm a Wares user. I'm a pretty heavy user of Wares. I've been violating the circumvention clause of the DCMA for, when I first started doing it, I was 13. I am 38 years of age at this point. So, just doing the math on that one, 38 minus 13, so that's been 25 years of basically violating the circumvention clause of the DCMA, and not once have I been charged for it because I know what I'm doing. I've been here, I've witnessed the rise of torrents. I remember Supernova. I was on IRC back then, back in the day. I've been doing it basically my whole, adolescent life and now into adulthood at this point. So, I would tell you, don't fear the law so much. If you know what you're doing, you're able to effectively utilize tools to stay far enough ahead of law enforcement that they will never be able to hold you to account. Don't worry about it. Basically, just use Forjo and put together a basically a Tor hidden service, which so hosting an anonymous website. So like let's just look into who we used for those. Hosting an anonymous Tor network. Yeah. So there's some technical guides for how to do this, to set this up on, Tor, I guess, with the typical provider, but you're gonna need a shell to actually do it, though. Uh, So you use Forjo and you build a Tor hidden network basically to do it, and the to do it and set it all up, like so that these guys don't know who to actually fucking sue, basically when push comes to shove, and they're pretty much fucked, and that's basically how you do it. I have some links from Comparatech that I can put in the underbar for all this and link you to Forjo. So like this would basically how you would set up your project and everything. And that's basically how you get to reverse engineer Facebook and all the social media platforms, Threads if you want, and Instagram if you want, and all the others, and just make a tool that engineers in adversarial interoperability, and basically tell them all to go get play in traffic. Basically, their lawyers won't be able to do shit. You'll be and you will be effectively shielded from any accountability. I mean, I've been violating that portion of the DCMA for 25 years doing this. So, you know, I haven't stopped, so